Hey there, John Paulus here, and I am drawing a new card from the Life's Potluck Buffet deck to talk to you about today, and looks like it's card number 34. Let me read you the prompt. If you're staring at the canyon, you'll drive right off of it. Oh, I remember well when I came up with this idea. It was years and years and years ago now. And I was actually talking to a student in the days when I was teaching. And the student was talking about how they kept failing quizzes. And we were in my office, and I was talking about how they were doing and what was going on. And without getting into too many details about it, what we realized was when we obsess about failing at something, our worst fear often becomes reality. And I remember when I was talking to the student, I was trying to come up with a good, vivid analogy that might help them think about how to steer themselves. And I say steer because I thought about steering a vehicle. How to steer themselves to success. In this case, to passing their quizzes. And so what I came up with was this vision of a road alongside a deep canyon. And I told the student, think about driving a car on a road next to a canyon. If you stare at that chasm, you're going to drive right off the road and into the chasm. But if you look ahead, you drive straight down the road. So I said, focus on the road ahead instead of focusing on the canyon and plunging into it. And you know, obviously I wouldn't be telling this story if it didn't help, because the student passed every single quiz for the rest of the class and every exam as well. It's because we talked about the outcome that the student was most afraid of, and focusing on the goal, and more important than the goal, just focusing on the end of the road that they were looking down. And that end of the road meant graduation. It meant moving on in life. And that's what happens when you look at the road straight ahead, instead of staring at that chasm of all of the failure and fear that we have about our work lives and our accomplishments. On the YouTube here, I uploaded a video that I thought was indicative of this, and that's from the old Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner cartoons. And in it, you take a look on the YouTube, but what happens is there's this mesa that Wile E. Coyote has painted a roadway image of a roadway on. And obviously the idea is that the Roadrunner will run into the mesa, and and it's the end for the Roadrunner, and the Coyote wins. And you hear the Roadrunner beeping, and you hear his engine-like noises coming down the road, and the Coyote steps aside and is greedily watching what will happen. And of course, the road the roadrunner goes right through the image, the painting, and down the fictional road that the coyote had painted, and disappears. And of course, the coyote thinks, well, he'll run down that road too. He'll be able to break this illusion as well. And of course, we know what happens. The imagined road now just becomes the wall of the side of the mesa that it once was, and the coyote gets, the accordion, and then to add insult to injury, of course, the roadrunner comes back the fictional road and runs over the coyote. I think that's a really good visualization of this phenomenon of creating situations where we're focused on the catastrophe or failure, and we're so intently focused on it that it becomes the only reality to us. But try this visualization when you're in moments like that. Imagine that catastrophe and that failure in your work is at the bottom of a deep chasm. And imagine that you're driving down a road. So imagine that you're driving down that road, and that the only thing ahead of you is an absolutely idyllic scene of what your goal is. Try to think about what you're picturing in the image and focus on that. And in trying to draw the details of that picture, the positive thing that Wile E. Coyote did, you're drawing a place of flourishing, and the best part is that you've completely forgotten about what's in the chasm. And frankly, you've completely forgotten that the chasm even exists. So every time you come up with ways that you're going to fail or things will go wrong, take a moment to think of life down the road. Take a moment to think of what's ahead of you. Take a moment to think about what you want to be there. And in doing that, you'll drive right at it. If you enjoyed today's meditation on Life's Potluck Buffet, then head over to lifespotluck.com and grab a pack of cards for yourself. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.